You remember that song, Morning Has... I won't sing it. Morning Has Broken, like the first morning. Cat Stevens number. I cannot pour a glass of Rathfinny, which is this first wine, without remembering that, for reasons that we'll come on to a little bit later on. Welcome to a sort of, have you ever had the mad idea of opening a vineyard special? Sort of special. All three wines today are by people who in later life have decided that they'd really love to become winemakers and to own vineyards. And then I think have probably gone, oh no, what have I done? There's an old joke in the wine trade. It's like, how do you make a small fortune in the wine business? You start with a large one and open a wine business. And I suspect all three of the couples, actually, there's three pairs of people here, would all concur that this is very, very true. There is a story. What's his name? This guy in the United States, and he put $10 million to one side to open a winery and spent it, and then was horrified to discover for the next 10 years he needed to subsidise the winery to the tune of $1 million. So doubled his budget. The first wine that we've got today, let me go and have a little look here. This is Rathfinny Estate, Blanc de Noir 2016, 38, £40, a smart bottle of wine from Oxford Wine Company, and also you can get it from the estate, actually, various other places. Now, this is sort of the first amber English sparkling wine I've had. It's not an amber wine, but it's a Blanc de Noir, so it's made mostly from Pinot Noir. There's some Meunier in there as well. I think there's a tiny bit of Chardonnay just to give it some balance, which you're allowed. But the colour is this extraordinary, it is sort of amber coloured, and it's because of all the skins. And when you have a try, I had a bit of a try of this before. It's baked apples. But not only baked apples, you know when you bake an apple and you have sort of demerara sugar on the top and raisins in the middle. Oh, I really want to do that now. It's my favourite. It's probably my favourite pudding of all time, actually, is baked apple, demerara sugar and raisins in the middle. It has that sort of caramelised sugar character. I mean, it's a bone-dry wine. It's kind of apple skin tang to it. You know, if you get heritage apples, and you get that apple skin, slightly tannic bite when you bite into them. It's got that and the same sort of acidity. There's an amazing clarity of flavour about this, which we know in the world of sort of wine tasting, having very precise kind of Braeburn apple clarity is incredibly important because it gives us more pleasure to be able to pinpoint what the thing is. That is absolutely gorgeous. The story behind Rathfinny is brilliant. Hello, Mark and Sarah. They're lovely. Mark and Sarah Driver at Rathfinny. And Millie, who sent me these wines. Mark had a very successful career in business, finance. Sarah, a very successful lawyer. I think originally from Hong Kong. Is that right? You were sort of Hong Kong-based lawyer. Anyway, Mark retires quite young. Doesn't know what to do with his time too much, I suspect, and went to do the wine course at Plumpton, which is where I first heard his story, because people said, oh yeah, there was this guy, and he came along and he did the course here. It's like a degree you can do in being a winemaker at Plumpton College. Because when you go around, there are various Rathfinny developments on the site. I think Mark very generously has gone and helped them expand the facility, the faculty at Plumpton College, the winemaking faculty. They're an amazing wine school. If you didn't know, Britain has a really top-flight wine college in Plumpton College. It's absolutely extraordinary, near sort of Lewis in Sussex. So he then, with Sarah, they bought this site in 2010, this farm. 2012, decided to start planting it with vineyards. I've got some of the details down here. It's more than 200 acres of vineyards. It's huge. The ambition is extraordinary. They expect to have 350 acres or something by the end of next year. Planted with Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Meunier, so all kind of sparkling wine, great varieties. Now, it is in the South Downs National Park, in the main part of the Cradle Valley. And the beautiful thing about the label, I love this when people do this with labels. In fact, all three of these wines have brilliant stories behind the labels. I don't know whether that's to do with people coming from the trade from outside. All three have great stories. But it sort of goes from where the vineyard is, and then you sort of trundle all the way down, about 3 miles, to the Seven Sisters, the cliffs down on the coast. And it tells you that this sort of story of how close it is to the coast down the channel. trundling through to the sort of higher altitude sites where the vineyards are. It's all beautifully, it's sort of south facing, it's a little weather pocket that's there to protect it against, frosts and bits and pieces like that. It's absolutely glorious. The reason I did the Cat Stevens, actually Eleanor Fredgen, I can't remember how you pronounce her name. She was a children's author who first wrote that. She was from Alfriston, anyway. And the song, Morning Has Broken, is about the morning in Alfriston in Sussex, which is just up the road from where this wine comes from. There you go. That's why I always think of Morning Has Broken when I'm opening the bottle of Rathfinny, which I've had a few of. We might come back, we'll try a few of them, because it's English Wine Week that's coming up in not very long, actually. So we're going to have some more, and I'm sure we'll go and jump back into the wines of Rathfinny. It's rather decadent English fizz. Tell you who else came from Alfriston. But he didn't come from there because he came from Keighley. Was Dennis Healy. Dennis Healy, who talks. He had a false plate. If you ever listened to him, he had his false plate, his false teeth, it wobbled. So he used to whistle when he was talking like that. He was the one who said that he would squeeze the rich until the pits squeak, which is a thing you don't want to do in winemaking, because if you press grapes, these are very gently pressed, because if you squeeze, if the pips squeak, then they release all kinds of bitter tannins and things, which you don't want in winemaking. Maybe you don't want it when you're taxing the wealthy either. Who knows? That's not territory I'm getting anywhere involved with at all. Not on this. This is about fun. This is about getting and having a glass of wine. Oh, it is really lovely, that. Great wine. Mark and Sarah Java. Amazing stuff. Really lovely couple. Incredibly open. Utterly, they invite commentaries. If you go and have a glass of Rathfinny, let them know. Drop a line to the winery. And genuinely, when Mark comes and he's always utterly fascinated in what we think of the wines, because he's experimenting. Somebody who's so engrossed in the process. And actually, that is a thing you find, I think, generally amongst people who are coming into wine in sort of later life. Let's try this next one. This was from my friend Nicole Rollet. Nicole and Xavier, both successful careers elsewhere, decided to go and buy, in the 90s, I think, this estate. What's fascinating here is that people who come into wine from other fields don't carry the same weight of tradition and expectation that they should do things the way they were before. This is in the Rhone Valley. Now, this wine is Viognier, Vin de Pays de Vaucluse, Vin de Pays, the lowest, pretty much almost the lowest of the French wine classifications, 2016, £25. Justerini and Brooks. Go to Justerini's to go and get this. £25 for a Vin de Pays. That's because when they got there, they're in the southern Rhone. But rather than, so it's sort of Gigondas, rather than making wines within the more restrictive rules of the AOC, sort of local areas, they decided to make effectively super Rhones. So you get super Tuscans in Italy, where they said, well, I'm not going to make Chianti. I'm going to make my own. I'm going to make my own thing. Chianti Classico. I'm going to go and make these other styles of wine. And they went away to Maremma and places like that. It's the same sort of idea. So this is a Viognier. And it's fine, elegant Viognier. This is a fine wine. In fact, it has a sort of older sibling that's even finer. It's got a creamy oak to it, but there's a fragrance. It is like, is this like some of the wines of Condrieu? It's got more lush character than Condrieu. If you're Condrieu fan, we've got a nod in that sort of direction. But there's more lushness and generosity. There are some beautiful wines. I know a couple of producers actually in Gigondas who make white Rhones with lots of Viognier, sometimes with Marsanne Roussanne, that it's similar to. So it's a bit like there's a nod towards White Chateauneuf in here. It is beautiful. But it's more elegant. There's more fragrance than a White Chateauneuf de Pape. And I know this is one of the things they want to go and do. They're making wine in the southern Rhone. They want to have some of the freshness and the precision of the wines of the northern Rhone, which is a little bit cooler. But they can break all the rules. It's absolutely extraordinary. There is a sort of terrible kind of tragedy in a way, the most recent story, not tragedy, but the Rollets, they bought this, like I said, in the 90s. It's one of the highest vineyards in the south of France, 550 to 630 metres. Explains that fragrance, that lift in the style of wine. Very cool night. mouth-filling, elegant. It's got the same sort of elegance you get in fine Burgundy, with a much more exotic fruit to it, more lushness. Beautifully integrated oak. It's in the UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. So it's in the Dentelle de Montmirail of Gigondas fame. Very small production of wine, never more than 600 cases of any of these. So they are small, finely crafted wines. Nicole, I was talking to her a couple of weeks ago. We're going to do a little exchange, her and I. We're going to chat through her wines on Zoom. And she said, it was like 2 days before lockdown, they won an award as the best, I think, wine tourism destination in France. This would have been their summer. You know, people would have been to visit all the time. You can't go and visit. And they've won this extraordinary award. It's a real sort of tragedy. She organises a big wine conference every year, to which she has very kindly invited me. I know the first one, Amelia, my co-presenter on the show, she spoke at it, I think Amelia did. So she certainly attended and went along in this beautiful estate at Chêne Bleu, means the blue oak, and they have blue oaks when you go there. And so she's going to take it online this year, and it brings together all sorts of people who are making sort of smart wines. The labels, you remember I sort of said they have this beautiful thing, the Rathfinny, a label here, Chêne Bleu. The labels are all designed around the sort of legend of Abelard and Eloise, the stories of Abelard and Eloise. But within the labels, they all tell a story. There are always bunnies. You sort of find the rabbits, these bunnies. I can't see this one because I've got my reading specs on. But hidden away, and you get a little badge. I wish I should have bought it up. I got this little badge that said, I found the bunnies on Chêne Bleu. So they'll be hidden away in there somewhere. This is the story of Abelard and Eloise. It's really lovely. Brilliant wines. Fab story. There's a beautiful case. I'm not going to get it out now, but they have this extraordinary case. When we go and do a little bit with Nicole, I will go and get it out. But they sort of draw you in. I think that's the nicest thing about people who come into wine from elsewhere, is they know in a way that you have to tell the story. You have to tell the story of where you are, graphically. You have to tell the story of how the wine came about. Which brings us to our third wine. That is on song. That is really good. That's going to stay with me for a while. Right. Domaine du Métier, Léonides. Now, about 2 years ago, I was on one of my favourite places, which is the forum, sort of online forum of the website winepages.com. Wine-pages.com, run by a friend of mine, a guy called Tom Canavan, lovely Tom. And there's one of the other forum members, a guy called Mark Jarman, doctor from London, I think a neurologist, came on. He said, my friend and I, who's another friend of his, Paul Jenkins, who's another doctor, I think he's an endocrinologist, had decided to buy a vineyard in the south of France. And so we kind of think we're completely mad. It's going to cost us all our money. In fact, there's even a lovely little quote. I'll see if I can dig it down here. He said, where we go, it was kind of thinking, I'm totally mad. Here we go. He says, I think we may have bitten off more than we can chew with this, but I would have regretted it forever if we didn't go for it. Financial madness, guaranteed to lose money, but it's the dream that counts. And they've bought this vineyard. And now it's called Domaine du Métier because the vineyards are all around and inside the crater of a meteor that landed about 10,000 years ago in southern France. And it's got like a proper ring around it, like the moon. And it's about 160 metres across, 50 metres down in this vineyard. There's this picture of it here. Madness. And then all around, they've got other vineyards. They sit on this saddle between Faugères and Saint-Chinian. So they make wines in both appellations. This is Faugères. They also make some Saint-Chinian. Here we go. If you do nothing else, just go and drink more Faugères. Let me tell you about this wine. This is Léonides Rouge, AOP Faugères, 2016, £13.25. You'll get it in Stone Vine and Son, Hayes, Hanson and Clark, and also direct from the estate. They are doing special deliveries through London City Bond, so you can buy cases. And I've got to tell you, it's an amazing wine to go and buy. The entire range, again, I need to sort of come back into them. It is a sort of combination of, you know, if you go to, you might not have done it, but you go to Europe and you get really good dark, blueberry jams. Like the breakfast canteens. It's taking me back to family holidays where you get dark blueberry jam. But black fruit, dark blue fruit jam with herbs and a touch of balsamic, almost kind of soy notes in there. Apparently, Chinese wine tasters are much better at describing slightly balsamic notes because we just say it's balsamic, but the Chinese palate has lots of different sorts of soy sauce, which is very similar. So they're able to describe it in grades of different sorts of soy sauce. There you go. But there's a touch of that salty tang, meaty umami character of soy in it. Oh. And a bit of minerality, which they're really interested in. I know that Paul Jarman particularly talked a lot about what is minerality. Is that pebble-sucking tang that you get from some wines? Is it from the fruit skin? Is it from the acidity? Is it from the ground? Is there some sort of cosmic message that's being passed through from a meteor that's crashed into the earth and spewed out all sorts of interesting chemicals and created stuff 10,000 years ago? Who can say? But it's really, really delicious. So it's lots of schist, I think is the soil type that's around there. But it's got this long tang that it sort of holds on to. Now, he sent this little note. When he first started this, he sent some questions that he had as a winemaker, just in case you're thinking of, should I go and become a winemaker? If you look, remember I said about the labels, all the labels all have, their different wines, all have some sort of meteorite theme to them. He said, French bureaucracy, is it for real? Good question. Existing labels, do we need to change them? Actually, the answer to this is yes, which is why he changed them. First thing he went and did, I think. Are we mad? Does anyone know a sympathetic psychiatrist? You're the doctor, Paul. And Paul, you must know. I do actually know a really good psychiatrist, actually. Harley Street, very good. I was at school with him. What's the going rate for a tractor driver in France? I have no idea. And interestingly, he asked this question, this is a couple of years ago, he said, we can plant another couple of hectares. I'd like to go with white grapes, but which ones if we decide to ignore the local AOC rules and make a Vin de France? And that is utterly fascinating, given that Nicolas and Xavier decided to ignore the local AOC rules and went their own way. And when people come and make wine from a different background, that's often what they go and choose to do. And they often create new movements in wine, like the Super Tuscans. I know that lots of Italian winemakers are in there. But they create new boundaries and they explore new things that sometimes locals, for all the magic of traditions, wouldn't do themselves. And that's really special. Look, I'm not going to do questions today because I've sort of answered an awful lot for myself. Go and buy these wines. So you get yourself to Stone Vine and Son, Hayes, Hansen and Clark for Domaine Le Murmurium. Go and visit on the website. Really fascinating story about the website, about the guys. You can go direct to Chêne Bleu, but have a look. There are a couple of various placing. You go to Wine Direct, but Justerini Brooks is the key agency, certainly for this one. Brilliant wine, so I'm sure we're going to have some more of those. Go along and visit Rathfinny online, or go to, in fact, Oxford Wine Company. Great place to go and visit. I'm sure there are other producers. The rest of the range is really fabulous. And if you are thinking of going and opening a winery of your own, yeah, go and visit a psychiatrist first. Don't visit your bank manager, because whatever you think, they're going to say no. See you again on Wednesday. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.